My brother ruled for 20 years, tried to ruin me when I succeeded. I just smiled, revealed his secret, and watched Dad throw him out like trash. I was always the family screw-up. You know the type. Quiet, awkward, the one who never quite fits in at barbecues, the one they whisper about after they think you've left the room. The one they feel entitled to judge because you didn't follow the successful blueprint. Go to college, get a spouse, buy a house, crank out 2 kids, and die behind a white picket fence. I'm 33 now, and I've spent most of my life trying not to let it get to me. But it does. It gets to me, every single year. I drove 4 hours to be home for Thanksgiving, just to sit in a corner while my older brother held court, talking about stock options and his new golf clubs. It got to me every time my mom asked if I'd finally decided to get a real job, even though she never once asked what I actually did. Let me back up. I was born the youngest of 3. My brother Aaron is 10 years older and was pretty much born with a golden halo. Quarterback, valedictorian, early investor in Bitcoin, don't ask. Now the VP of a financial firm with a wife that looks like she walked out of a skincare ad. My sister Janine is 6 years older, married a dentist, has 4 kids, and runs a mom blog about homemade crafts and gluten-free parenting. Both of them have always had my parents' full attention, admiration, and respect. And me? I was the quiet one, the artsy one, the weird one who spent too much time in his room building websites and editing videos instead of going outside to play like a normal kid. When I was 13, I taught myself Photoshop. By 15, I was making logo designs and video edits for small YouTubers and indie musicians. I didn't go to college. My GPA was trash because I was too busy freelancing online to care about biology quizzes. My parents took that as a sign I'd given up on life. I remember the day I moved out. I was 20, barely scraping by, and renting a dusty 1-bedroom over a deli. My dad helped me carry a mattress up the stairs and said, "Son, we all hit rock bottom. You'll bounce back." I nodded. But in my head I thought, this isn't rock bottom. This is the launch pad. I didn't bounce back. I built. Quietly, relentlessly. While they laughed about Jason and his little internet thing, I was studying code, taking on bigger projects. Eventually I started a small creative agency that specializes in branding and ad content for e-commerce stores. First it was $300 jobs, then $1,000, then monthly retainers. I hired 2 editors, then 4. I worked from coffee shops, co-working spaces, sometimes from my car. By 28 I was making 6 figures. By 30, we were pulling in over $750,000 a year in revenue. I reinvested most of it. Didn't upgrade my car. Didn't buy a Rolex. Just quietly stacked, grew, and stayed invisible. Because honestly, I didn't care about proving anything. I just wanted peace. But peace was hard to come by when your own family acted like you were still 17 and failing remedial math. Every Christmas, the digs came out. "So Jason," Aaron would say, leaning back with his perfect teeth and perfect hair, "still doing the design thing?" "Yep," I'd reply. "You should consider getting into real estate. I've got some friends looking for interns. Good exposure." And my mom would chime in, "Jason, sweetie, I saw a flyer at church. They're hiring at the community center. It's not much, but at least it's stable." Meanwhile, my agency was running ads for 6 different Shopify brands. I had 14 contractors on Slack. I was advising a startup that was in talks with Shark Tank producers. But to them, I was still the soft, artsy underachiever, and I'd let it slide for years. Until my nephew blew it all up on live TV. The moment everything changed came out of nowhere. It was a Thursday evening, mid-October. I was knee-deep in a last-minute edit for a Black Friday ad campaign. One of our bigger clients had a panic over a missed influencer deadline. I had 3 monitors glowing, coffee going cold, my phone face down. Total flow state. Then my sister texted, "Janine, are you watching Channel 5 right now?" I blinked at it for a few seconds. I wasn't. I rarely watched live TV unless I was at my parents' house listening to my dad yell at football referees. Before I could reply, she spammed another 3 messages. "Janine. OMG Jason. Janine. It's even. Your nephew. Janine. He's on the news. They're doing a story on the youth tech startup he works with. Your company." My heart skipped. I turned up the volume and pulled up the local station's live stream on another tab. There it was. My company's logo. My agency's office. Evan, my 17-year-old nephew, wearing one of our branded hoodies, sitting in our co-working space, explaining to a reporter how our youth internship program helped him discover his love for animation and digital marketing. "And who runs this company?" the reporter asked. He smiled. "That'd be my Uncle Jason. He gave me a shot when nobody else would." I froze. He said it so proudly, like I was someone worth bragging about. The segment ended with a quick cut of our team, our portfolio, and our site link. In 3 minutes, my secret life became public record. I didn't even have time to process it before my phone started vibrating like it owed someone money. My sister again, then my mom, then Aaron. I didn't answer. Not yet. The next day, my inbox was flooded. Clients, old classmates, even a couple of high school teachers I hadn't heard from in over a decade. We got 4 new brand inquiries overnight. Evan texted me too. "Evan. Sorry if I wasn't supposed to say anything. They asked who mentored me and, well, you deserve some credit." I sat in silence for a while after that. Nobody in my family had ever said I deserved anything, let alone credit. That Sunday, I showed up to dinner. It was one of those crisp fall afternoons where the air feels sharp and the leaves look fake. My parents' driveway was lined with SUVs, Aaron's obnoxious Tesla parked diagonally like it owned the place. I walked in through the kitchen and immediately felt it. The shift. The energy. Like the whole room had been holding its breath waiting for me. My mom looked up from the roast. "Hi, honey." Her voice was soft. "Be careful." My dad didn't grunt his usual half-greeting. He actually stood up to shake my hand. Aaron, sitting at the head of the table, looked like he'd eaten a whole lemon. "You didn't return my call," he said. "I was busy," I replied flatly. Silence. We sat down. Dinner began, and for the first time in maybe 15 years they asked me about work. Like, real questions. "How many people work with you now? What kind of projects do you do? Do you travel for clients?" I kept my answers brief, but polite. My mom nodded like she was relearning who I was. My dad looked guilty, maybe proud. I couldn't tell. Aaron didn't say a word. Until the third course when he finally broke. "You should have told us about all this." "I did, just not in a way you wanted to hear." He tightened his jaw. "I'm just saying, maybe we could have helped you grow faster. Made introductions, investments." I smiled. I didn't need help. I needed belief. There's a difference. That shut him up. I could feel Evan watching us from across the table. The kid looked nervous, but proud. I gave him a small nod. His grin widened. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't invisible at that table. But that was just the beginning. The real drama hadn't even started yet. The following week was a strange twilight zone of awkward praise and suspicious interest. Suddenly I was no longer Jason the flaky artist. I was Jason the entrepreneur. Jason the mentor. Jason the guy with connections. My phone buzzed with invites to coffee, church events, and even Aaron's son's basketball game. My mom sent me a long text saying she was so proud and hoped I'd finally found your calling. That phrase stung a little. Like the last decade had been me wandering through a career jungle with no map. Aaron, meanwhile, turned into a riddle. He didn't insult me, he didn't belittle me, but he also didn't stop watching me. The same guy who used to talk over me about serious careers was suddenly leaning in when I mentioned meetings, asking about company structure, clients, revenue streams. He was always asking too many questions, then pretending like he didn't care about the answers. Something was brewing. Then, 3 weeks after the news segment aired, Aaron invited me to lunch. Just the two of us. No kids, no wives, no buffer. That alone set off internal alarms. We hadn't been one-on-one since I was a teenager, and he tried to convince me to become a real estate agent. The place he picked was one of those power lunch spots. Mahogany booths, waiters who only addressed you as sir, and a menu where the cheapest salad cost $28. I wore my usual flannel shirt, jeans, and clean sneakers. He showed up in his tailored blazer, Rolex, on full display. We ordered. Small talk. Then he got to the point. "I've been thinking," he said, swirling his wine like he knew what he was doing. We should do something together. I blinked. Do something? Yeah. I've got clients with cash who'd love to invest in something with solid ROI. Your agency's getting traction. With some capital infusion we could scale. Think bigger. Merge with a media firm. Franchise, I didn't even have to think. No, I said as calmly as possible. He froze, mid-sip. Why not, he asked. Because I built this alone. And I know how this goes. You come in, start advising, then suddenly I'm taking orders in my own company. I'm good, Aaron. Really? He set his glass down too hard. Jason, I'm offering you a chance to take what you've built and 10 times it. You think I need your little project? This is about family. No, it's about control, I said quietly. It always has been. For a moment, I thought he might actually throw his fork. Instead, he leaned back, nostrils flaring. You're still the same insecure little brother, always assuming someone's out to get you. I smiled. Maybe, but this time I'm secure enough to walk away. He didn't speak again until the check came. The next Sunday, he didn't show up to dinner. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I brought my laptop. After dessert, while my mom and sister chatted in the kitchen and the kids played in the living room, I opened it up at the table. Evan wandered over and asked to see the new animation reel he was working on. My dad sat nearby, sipping decaf, watching over the top of his glasses. I clicked through our latest campaign work, motion ads, landing pages, influencer cuts. Then I showed him our new platform analytics, the software we'd recently developed in-house to help brands track ROI better. Wait, you built this? My dad asked. Yeah. My team wrote most of the code, but I designed the framework. He stared at the screen, then at me. That's impressive. I wanted to say, yeah, Dad. I've been doing this for years. You just never asked. But I didn't. Instead, I just nodded. Thanks. That night, as I left, my sister walked me to the door. She looked over her shoulder, then whispered, just between us. Aaron's pissed. About what? About not being able to get in. He's been bragging about some new partnership that never happened. I think he was counting on riding your coattails. I shrugged. He'll be fine. She smiled. I think this is the first time he's had to eat a slice of humble pie. But I knew Aaron. He wouldn't just stew. He'd retaliate. And sure enough, he did. I didn't hear from Aaron for a month. Not a word. No passive-aggressive texts. No family group chat digs. No smug LinkedIn updates. Just silence. Which, coming from my brother, was more ominous than noise. I knew him too well. Silence was his storm cloud. Then out of nowhere, one of my contractors, Raya, who handled influencer outreach, Slack, pinged me. Raya. Hey. Not sure if this is weird, but a guy named Aaron left a voicemail on my Google Voice number asking about you. Said he was doing some due diligence on your company. Didn't sound super friendly. I stared at the message. Due diligence? I immediately checked our other team contacts. Sure enough, 2 more freelancers had gotten vague, weird emails from an A. Green using a brand new Gmail address. He was asking about pay history, legal structure, contracts, IP rights. Aaron was digging. And not just out of curiosity. He was trying to find something, anything, he could use against me. I called him that night, straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. Instead, I locked down our admin accounts, alerted my legal advisor, and sent a polite but clear email to my team. If anyone contacts you about me or the company, forward the message to me first. Do not respond. The gloves were off. 2 weeks later, it escalated. I was visiting my parents for a quick Sunday lunch. Not the whole dinner this time, just a drop in. Things had settled into a bizarre calm since the TV appearance. My mom had stopped bringing up job fairs. My dad had even asked for help setting up 2-factor authentication on his email. But that day, I walked in and felt it instantly. Thick tension, like the air had been sucked out of the house. Aaron was already there. Sitting in the living room, arms crossed, red in the face. On the coffee table was a manila folder. My mom looked between us like she was bracing for a car crash. Aaron stood up when he saw me. Sit. I didn't. What's going on? He shoved the folder across the table. That's what's going on. I flipped it open. Inside were printed screenshots of my business's old privacy policy from 5 years ago, back when it was just me and one intern. A couple of client contracts with red pen scribbles. A tax form from when I filed late during the pandemic. Nothing damning, just old, outdated, cherry-picked fragments. He pointed. You're running a company with gaps. Exposed liabilities. You think you're untouchable because you're finally making money, but this stuff can sink you. I stared at him, then at my parents. You hired someone to dig this up? Aaron didn't flinch. I had a guy look into you, just making sure everything was on the level. That's not due diligence, I said calmly. That's sabotage. And you crossed a line. My dad stood up. Aaron, what the hell is this? He's a fraud, Aaron snapped. He built his success on loopholes and sloppy paperwork. He didn't earn any of this, and now the whole family is kissing his ass like he's some kind of genius. He was shouting now. His neck flushed, fists clenched. I've been carrying this family's name for decades. While he played on his laptop, I made real money, real connections. Real DUIs too? I said before I could stop myself. He froze. Silence. My mom gasped. My dad turned pale. My sister, standing behind the kitchen counter, dropped a glass that shattered on the tile. You've had 3, I said quietly. I never brought them up. Not when you begged Dad to co-sign your second mortgage. Not when you blamed your secretary for the firm's audit. But you came after me, Aaron. You made this war. He lunged. It wasn't much, just a step forward and a raised hand. But it was enough to make my dad shove him back. Out, he barked. Aaron looked stunned. Dad. Get out of my house, now. And just like that, it was over. He left without another word. My mother sank into a chair, stunned. My sister went to get a broom. I stood in the middle of the room, heart racing but weirdly calm. It took 33 years, but the golden child finally cracked. Later that night my dad called me. Not to apologize. Just to say, I'm sorry I let it go this far. That was enough. For now. The funny thing is, I thought it would feel better. I thought I'd walk away from that blow-up triumphant. Vindicated, powerful, finally recognized. I thought I'd sleep with a grin that night. I didn't. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, and all I could think about was how quiet it was. No texts, no calls, no drama, and no applause. Because here's the truth, nobody tells you. Winning a war with your family still feels like a funeral. A week passed. Then 2. No word from Aaron. Not a peep from my parents either. Janine sent me a meme once, something about middle child trauma. But that was it. In the silence I found a strange kind of clarity. I realized I'd spent years chasing 2 things. Their validation. The fantasy that one day, they'd realize how wrong they were and beg for forgiveness. But it never came. And it never will. Because people like my brother don't have epiphanies. They have consequences. And parents like mine don't rewrite stories. They just switch narrators. Here's the twist you weren't expecting. I called Aaron. Yep, me. The kid he mocked, minimized, monitored. The guy he tried to destroy. I called him. He didn't pick up. I left a message. Aaron, I'm not calling to fight. I'm calling because I'm done with it. All of it. The competition. The scorekeeping. The fake smiles. You don't need to like me. But I forgive you. And I forgive them. Not because you deserve it. But because I do. I'm not dragging this weight with me anymore. You can keep it. Goodbye. And then I blocked him. Not out of anger. Out of peace. Weeks passed. Then months. The business grew. Evan started full-time after graduating. We opened a new studio in Austin. I moved into a modest house with a garden and 0 drama. And I stopped going to Sunday dinners. No dramatic exit. No final speech. I just didn't show up. And the world kept spinning. But one day a letter came. It was handwritten. No return address. The handwriting looked like it had been pressed too hard into the paper, like the words had to fight their way out. It was from my dad. I don't know how to talk about feelings. I think you already know that. I was hard on you because I thought life would be. I see now that you were never weak. You were just different. And I was too proud to admit I didn't understand you. Your brother won't talk to me. Your mother cries more than she lets on. Janine says you're doing well. I hope that's true. I don't expect anything. But if you ever want to stop by, the back door's open. I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it, slid it back into the envelope, and put it in the kitchen drawer next to my coffee filters. It's still there. Because healing isn't always reconciliation. Sometimes, it's choosing not to go back. Epilogue. You don't need to be understood to be whole. You don't need applause to be valid. Sometimes the most profound revenge is not rising above but walking away. Quietly, finally, permanently. They called me a failure. And now, I own a company that pays for 15 people's mortgages. I mentor kids who've been told they'll never make it. I fall asleep with peace, not approval. And the best part? I no longer want to be invited to the table, because I've built my own, and everyone sitting at it, they see me, and that's enough. Thanks for watching and sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next drama-filled episode.